Hey guys, welcome to Brotherhood Forged.
I'm Joey, and hanging with me is my buddy Paul.
We're just two normal guys following Jesus and trying to lead our families well.
We started this to build a place for real talk, real growth, and real brotherhood.
If you're about faith, leadership, and showing up when it's tough, you're in the right spot. If you like what you hear, hit the share button or leave a review. It helps way more than you know.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to another brief episode here. We, as we record this one, this will come out as episode 10. We've already kind of we have part 2 saved in the bank too. So as we think about this and reflect on this stuff, as you see part 10 and part 11 coming out, or episode 10 and 11 come out next week, what are your thoughts of where we're at, what we've learned, kind of, I don't know, anything, any reflections you have as we hit that double-digit point on something we never thought we would have started in general?
First thought is it's crazy how fast time has gone. So we're, 2 months in?
Yeah.
And I feel like we've come a long way just in how well we gel together, right? How we're learning to kind of feed off of one another. I feel extremely comfortable working with you, just learning to kind of spill my guts on camera, which is definitely not natural at first. I'd like to maybe talk a little bit about the connections that I've made and you've made and some of the feedback we've gotten since we gotten started.
I mean, just to piggyback off what you said, man, I think the connection that we have, and what was the one review we got? Something about combination of like power and wisdom or something like that?
That was from a gentleman that I do a prayer group on Friday mornings with guys, and his name is Staff. He's a really good, neat dude. He started listening to our podcast, and he gave us like 1.5 page review. He sent it to our Brotherhood Forged email. It was amazing, though.
Oh yeah, dude, that was super cool. The way he articulated like the combination that we bring to the table, I think that we had always saw that in each other, the combination that we had going back to our that first formed conversation we had on the bus. I think we knew like, hey, there's something here. Like we build off each other well, we connect well, we just work well. But I don't think that we knew it would have turned into what it turned into. But to have him see that too, like, or to see more in us than what we saw, to really know that our message and our connection does hit home like that was cool.
It's super humbling. And this he's 20 years older than me. So he's been around. He's experienced a lot of things. He's run big companies. Very humble guy. He would never talk a lot about that type of thing. But with his experiences and where he's been in life, and to give that type of feedback, and Staff's not a guy that's going to tell you something just because you want to hear it, which I respect immensely. So his words, thank you, Staff, really, really hit home for both of us.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. What you just said there, I do want to touch on as we go into this, because we don't really know what we're going to talk about on these ones until we kind of dive into it and see where we're at for our reflections of the week. But you said, like, he's not the type of guy that will tell you what you want to hear just to say it. That type of thing is huge. And that's what we're going to dive into more about the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are the average of that Jim Rohn quote, right? But you want to talk more about the connections too before we get into that.
Another connection I made through the podcast, through another guy that I've met recently. His name is Pear, and he runs a organization called Rocking Life. It's at the beginning stages. It's really about men helping men, evangelism. I met him through the podcast. Someone else had shared the podcast that I know, contacted Pear. Pear and I got on an hour-long Zoom. Now I'm in training to be an ambassador in this Rocking Life, which is kind of at the beginning of the stages. But without the podcast, that would have never happened. I met another man. His name is Paul Orr. We had a conversation yesterday. He lives down in Seaverville, Tennessee. He has some very common interests. He's also a voice actor, which is something that I've been interested in years. Fellow Christian. We had a 30-minute conversation that was it gave me goosebumps yesterday. He's been through some really rough things just like I have, but both of those amazing connections are a result of the podcast and the way life takes us in so many different directions. It's really cool when you let God work in your life. The directions he takes you are definitely not in directions you would have ever foreseen.
There's actually someone that reached out to me too as well that had a close friend of theirs going through something similar with what you went through with your dad, and the way that you spoke about your dad and obviously your Christian background. So, I mean, that could potentially lead to something too, where you just talk to him and kind of pick him up where people might have picked you up when you were in that spot too. So the biggest takeaway though is like getting out of our own way, getting out of our comfort zone, putting this stuff out there. You never know how people will receive it or what they'll take from it, but to see all the beautiful things that have come from it, just from us having the conversations that we had, but putting them out there, it's scary. Like we talked about so many times, but like, look what became possible. And to the same point, like you said about following God's calling, like doors will open for you, but you still have to take the action. You still have to take the step. You still have that trust to go through that door. And something that took me a long time to realize, I actually just heard this earlier this week. Just because doors are open for you doesn't mean everybody wants to see you walk through them. So that's another thing as we go through this. There will be people that we're not for, right? We're not for everybody. And I understand that because people are not always for me too. So, but as we go through that, I think we just continue to highlight the positives, continue to highlight the encouragement, and just keep doing what we're doing, man. It's been beautiful so far.
It really has. And like you said, there are going to be people, the bigger this gets, the more negatives we're going to hear, right? We don't really get a lot of negative comments, that type of thing, but it's inevitable. The more we do, we'll get them, and that's okay. Just give honest feedback, right? But we're not going to be for everyone. We're both Christians. That's a big part of what we're doing. It's more than that, but that's kind of our foundation. And that's not going to be for everyone. Like I said, that's fine. The feedback we get is how we grow. So we do appreciate that.
I think a life lesson too, speaking back to the doors opening and closing thing, like that's something I wish I would have known earlier on in life, is just because doors open for you doesn't mean everyone wants to see you go through them. Because I think that can really take you back when you have an opportunity come up and you see people that aren't necessarily as happy or as, you know, as warmly inviting as you thought they'd be. That can sting and that can make you question a lot about yourself. And I think to build off that lesson I wish I'd learned earlier is that it's not always about you, and people's reaction often says more about them than it does you. So like, try not to take it personal, try not to take it like we did something wrong. So to anybody out there, I guess if you're in a career thing, or if you're about to step into a new opportunity, just know that not everyone's going to be happy to see you walk through that door. The 5 people you're often the closest to, they will be. So always reflect back to, it's almost like a core value, but almost like a core relationship value. People closest to you usually will be the happiest for you.
The people that are usually doing really well are the ones that want to see you succeed. It's the people that aren't doing as well. They don't want to see you do better, or someone that doesn't want to see you do better than them. Paul and I know, are not in a competition to be better than anyone else. We just want to be our best selves. I just want to be better than I was yesterday. And I talk about it a lot. I just want to make an impact, a positive impact for the kingdom, first and foremost. That's it. Whatever turns out from this is what happens. But we still have to do the work.
Yeah.
We can't just sit back and say, hey, God, you're in control. Just make it happen. We have to do the work, and we have to do our due diligence, which we're doing. I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure you're in the same place, but I am so excited about this. I don't really have words, but I look forward to every time we get on here and just do this.
Yeah, and most of the time, probably about 90% of the time, it's super productive stuff where we're talking about the concept. We're trying to get each other built up for it. So I mean, there's time that we'll go back and forth and joke with each other too. But like, it's such one. So if you think about this, Jim Rohn, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You and I, by far, have spent so much time together, and not in a sense of the way that people think. It's like not. You don't have to be with that person. It doesn't have to be your neighbor. It doesn't have to be your best friend. You and I are 4 hours away from each other. 4 hours away from each other, but we still spend the most time with each other, based off the conversations, based off the phone calls, based off the text messages. As I've gone through this too, that's something I wish I knew earlier. I think I figured it out about age 25 or so when I started getting some outside mentors from actually one, Corey Gregory. He's out in Ohio as well. He's one of the people that really instilled that in me, is like, you don't have to allow your circumstances to choose your 5. You can choose your 5. You can go out there, especially with technology and stuff like that. You can go out there and choose your own 5. But as we go through this, like, think about the whole iron sharpening iron thing. The 5 that you spend the most time with are going to be the people that should sharpen your iron. They should call you forward. They should lift you up. And if they're not, you probably should reevaluate the 5 that you're allowing to take up the most of your energy in your space.
Completely agree. And if you're the best, the smartest, the strongest in that circle, you need a new circle. I mean, you might be the best in one area, but I want to be around guys that are going to, like you said, sharpen me. Those are guys that are probably smarter than me, maybe stronger physically, maybe stronger mentally, have a better relationship maybe with God than I have, but I want to learn from them. I think that's super important as well. If you always want to be the top dog, you're not going to grow.
I think that comes down to an open-mindedness thing too. If you put yourself around people that you know are doing things or have things that you're trying to get as well or trying to achieve, then you have that open mind and you're already kind of a step ahead, I would say. But if you go into it and you think that the 5 people you spend the most time with is just an ego boost, then you don't probably have as much room to grow. But it's like the same thing. Like, I wouldn't want to put myself in a group of 5 people that just tell me what I want to hear. I want 5 people that are going to tell me what I need to hear, whether I like it or not, because it will help me become a better person. It will help me show up better for my people around me. So it's, I don't know, being very cautious and very selective, I would say.
That goes back to the growth mindset. I absolutely want people to tell me what I need to hear. And that starts at home with my wife. And she's certainly really good at telling me what I need to hear. But yeah, my brothers, like in general, and brothers meaning brothers in Christ, my friends, my circle, the ones I've chosen to be in that circle definitely will hold me to the fire. They see me stepping out. They see me falling away from my core values, not living in my core values. And most of my friends definitely know what my core values are. Number one, of course, being faith. They're going to let me know. And if they didn't, I don't want them in my circle.
That's a great point right there, because if you're in the wrong circle, you can lower your standards and your average based off what's going around you. And I think we've all heard this, and I've actually said this before, even on our own podcast, and I do believe it. I believe there certainly are seasons in life where you do have to kind of step back a little bit. So right now with us going through the pregnancy, or Amber, I mean, it's not us. Like, she's doing all the physical. This is completely her thing. I'm just here to support her. I don't want to misspeak on that one, but as she's going through that, I've dialed back my fitness and my nutrition, not as a bad thing, but it's because I'm doing more things in other areas. So it's like, I don't have the current time for that. So understanding that it is a season, but the 5 around you should allow you to see that it's just a season. So when we get out of the season, I have to go back to my different standards instead of just telling you like, oh, it's okay. You're getting older, or you don't move the same way. You don't need to work out like you used to. To a point, you need to tweak things as you go through life, right? But you shouldn't have those people in your life that just kind of tell you what you want to hear in regards to your feelings. Like, they should be like, okay, you took some time off, you worked on the house, but now it's time to get back on you and really get your workouts back to where you want them to be for you and for your family.
The people that do that say, oh, you're okay. Oh, you're just getting older. Yeah. You can slow down a lot. Those are probably not strong people. Definitely not growth-minded people. I've had those people in my life in the past for sure. And for many years, most of my life, have not had a growth mindset. I know we talk about mindset a lot, but that's just the theme of life. But those people, I don't need them in my life.
Choosing comfort over challenge is the thing I think of, because I think about like the groups that we're in and the conversations that you and I have, the way we challenge each other, the way people around us challenge each other, whether it be the books that we're reading or the podcasts we're listening to or the content we're putting together for this, like, that's challenging us to grow and get better, opposed to just being like, well, you can be comfortable. You guys have recorded 10 and now 11 episodes. You don't need to, it's okay. You can step back. It's like, no, we want to keep getting better.
You don't need to do 2 episodes a week. Why aren't you just doing 2 a month? I mean, you're right. We don't need to listen to those people.
One of the final pieces for my thoughts for this is the 5 people I spend the most time with, by default, spend the most time with my children as well. Would I want my children modeling the behaviors off the 5 people I spend the most time with? Or is that not the behavior I want them to see? So that's something that's really opened my eyes up to being more intentional about who I spend the most time with and who I put around me, because we're always constantly modeling for somebody. And my situation is for younger kids. Your situation is the people that you build up around you, the people you spend time with. So it's really, really knowing that, like, you also kind of get labeled in a sense by the people you spend the most time with too. You can be seen as the person in that group, or however people say it. So it's like really being mindful of that has been big for me as well.
Like you said, you have little ones watching you, another one coming. People that are probably watching me, I don't even know who they are. I just try to live a life of integrity. No matter who's watching, they're going to see that I live by my values, biblical values, really.
It's huge, man. So as we wrap this one up, a question to the listeners: who are your 5 people? Are they sharpening you, or are they softening you? And do they call you higher, or do they keep you comfortable? Would you be proud if your kids modeled their behavior, or if your closest family members or friends modeled the behavior of the 5 people you spend the most time with, if those aren't your 5 people? So just something to think about and just reflect on, and be intentional. And if you don't have those 5 people around you based off your location, try to find mentors online, try to find different ways to really get creative with the 5 people, because even though the location doesn't always get to be a choice, you still get to make that choice of who you give your time to and who you allow to have your space and your energy.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's an intentional choice who my 5 are. If you're going up just by who you've grown up around, that type of thing out of convenience, and you might want to just reevaluate. Add one person to that circle at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. This has been a process for me over years, but be intentional.
My last caveat to that is, because I do have some good friends that I don't get to spend as much time with because we are so busy, that sometimes life does get in the way. And I have some really good friends that I grew up with that I still can't, because they have kids in sports. We have kids in sports. We all work. So it's like, just because I don't spend as much time with them as I do right now, doesn't mean I'm taking you out of my top 5. It just means currently right now we are in that season, and not to be comfortable about it, but it does happen. And there are times to kind of reconnect, but it's one of my favorite things is, I won't keep going to this point, but just because we don't spend the most time with them, I love the connections, the old friendships I have where you can pick up the phone and have a text or a conversation. And it's like you haven't missed a beat no matter how many years it's been. And that's like a caveat to the top 5, because they're like top 5 overall life people, I'd feel like, because they spent so much time with you before, but currently can't right now.
Good wrap up. Appreciate y'all. This brief is much longer than a typical brief, but that's okay. And you'll see episode 11. This is number 10, so we're kind of celebrating number 10. We're going to give it at least a year, I'd say, and more, because judging by feedback so far, we're going to keep rolling.
See you guys.
All right.
Thanks for listening today. We don't take that for granted.
Your support matters. You're part of something much bigger, and we're thankful you're on this journey with us.
Stay strong, stay intentional, and know you're not walking this alone.
If this challenged you, please share the impact. Growth is better together.
We'll see you next time on Brotherhood Forged.